anger. Doctor has joined us on the line. Sir, you're welcome to Eyewitness News.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Your friend K.T, who's known you for many years, is disappointed in you. He thinks you have a problem with comprehension of the 1992 Constitution, and he thinks that your petition to Parliament about the withdrawal of the LI is insulting.
Well, thank you once again. Honestly, I didn't expect this banter. Honestly, I am really sad with the approach of the minister. Very, very sad. The petition was very clear. The petition was actually geared towards the issue which is prevailing now. And it's all about an attempt to establish a legislative instrument to regulate cement prices. That's the issue. And there's nothing to do with any personality, nothing to do with any sort of, attack. But it's actually addressing the issue, the way and manner the issue was handled. What the manufacturers of cement are not happy with. In the very first place, I don't have the petition actually in front of me, but I think I can recap that. It was addressing a very vital requirement so far as establishing LI is concerned. Well, I'm not a lawyer, but I have been in the corporate governance for a very long time. That before an LI is established, there must be a stakeholders consultative meeting. That is, the stakeholders really have to be consulted. There should be dialogue, that in respect of that particular legislative instrument which is to be established. And that I am just being honest, very honest. Because last night, just yesterday, I was surprised to hear about this thing. Come to think of the relationship that the cement manufacturers have with the Ministry of Trade and Industry. The Ministry of Trade and Industry has been our sector ministry and still continue to be our sector ministry. And I can say with authority that the cement industry is the only industry that has established a memorandum of understanding with the Ministry of Trade and Industry, because the two, that is the ministry and the manufacturers, consider cement products as very sensitive. And the MOU establishes that the ministry is concerned about the development of the cement industry. So how come that something like this, which of course will be a precedent or, for that matter, a novelty good, concerning regulating cement prices, the stakeholders are not aware of it.
Okay, I do know that it may not be compulsory. It is something you desire that you do the consultation before, but it is not necessarily compulsory, and that does not make nonsense of the LI that he has before the House. To the extent that he gets the House to approve his LI for him, or if the LI matures, that becomes law and you are bound by it. You are suggesting that there has not been any consultation whatsoever. Perhaps the meeting was had with maybe other members of your association without your knowledge. Do you know if that could have happened without you knowing of?
Oh, that of course, that one would also be surprising because I am the head of the secretariat.
How many members do you have?
Well, it comes to think of all the cement manufacturers that we have in the country. We're talking about 10, 11, 12, yes.
So all of them are under your umbrella?
All of them are under my umbrella.
Okay, let's talk about a key issue he raised. He says the price of cement appears to be skyrocketing. He says you started through the ceiling, through the roof, and into the skies. He thinks it is not right, the continuous increases that we are witnessing. In fact, he says we know the elements that go into cement production, labor, clinker. He says because of that, he does not, again, he talks about exchange rate. He says due to these things, you may increase your prices, but not to the levels that you are increasing them. Can you please educate us tonight, and indeed the minister as well, on what elements are in your price basket for cement, a bag of cement, what goes into that?
Good. Thank you so much. Again, that is what we're insisting on dialogue. You know, cement production is technical. Very technical. Excuse me, it is not political. There are a lot of things that actually enter into that profession. And it takes dialogue and engagement for you to understand. What goes into cement production, like I said, I'm repeating, is technical combination of economic, technical, social, whatever. And we are saying, and we have been saying it over and over and over again, that the cement products that you see in the market, it is manufactured and produced based on milling or importation of raw materials. A chunk of the raw materials, that's the clinker, we can't get it in Ghana, is imported. You're talking about 70-75%, depending on the volume or the quantity that you use. You can have it in an average of 75%, and that is important. So, the situation we are in now, which we all agree, that no one can deny it, that cement prices have been escalating for the past 3.5 months, or even getting to 4. And there is a reason for that. There is a reason for that which the Honorable Minister knows. That is against the backdrop of how cement is produced, which cement production hinges on importation of raw material. Clinker is the major component. You can't do without clinker, and that you need to import it. So in a situation or with an industry like this, fluctuation of foreign currency or exchange rate is crucial, very crucial. This we've really demonstrated very crucial. It affects everything. Even affects the cost of the product itself, clinker. It affects the freight. It affects even the tariff at the port. Do you know that the tariffs at the port, that the Ghana Harbour whatever authority, their tariffs are dollarized? Then come to think of maybe import duty, where of course the import duty is quoted in dollars, but you pay in the prevailing rate. So this is what the industry is battling, is going through, that the importation of raw materials or its subject importation is key and crucial to the cement development. And what have we been experiencing of late? For the past 4 or 5 months, what have we been experiencing? That is fluctuation. The continuous depreciation of the cedi. The raw material is bought with hard currency dollar. Then you come and mill it, you sell it at cedis, you convert it again to go to repurchase what you call the raw material. So the fluctuation. And this is the basis in which this LI, because how come that the LI has not been proposed 2 years ago, 3 years ago, not even 1 year ago? This is being proposed now by the minister because of the escalation of the prices, which the reason is known to all of us. So why don't we sit down and look at the root cause? The root cause for this escalation, and see whether we can find an antidote to that, and that will come up with a natural price control. Natural. That is what we are talking about. That looking at the fundamental, looking at the underlying cause for the escalation, the ally will not be necessary. Because the ally, even if it comes into fruition, and the root cause of the escalation is still there. And again, while we were pressing for this meeting, I don't know whether the minister has thought of the consequences of price control. Economically, consequences of price control. My brother, have you analyzed it? That if you have a price control, what do you call it, just like fixed, where you are just like imposed. Sell the cement at 2 Ghana cedis. Sell the cement at 4 Ghana cedis. That is what we are going to allow you. And you do your production analysis. And you know you cannot meet it. You stop production. And when you stop production, what is the consequence? Shortage. What is the consequences? Hoarding. There's an economic implication of whatever we have to do. Then, of course, it also comes to compromising with quality. Okay, fine. If you say maybe I have to sell it at this, and I know it will not be profitable for me, I don't cut corners. See, there are implications. Even though the law maybe as he is quoting that it is not necessary for us to have dialogue, in this particular instance, there is the need for dialogue, engagement, to analyze the consequence of whatever will be in place, the LI. That is the concern.
Doc, what's the annual rate of increase of cement over the period? And would you say that the rate has been more exponential in the past few years than it was in the past?
This is something that we talk about. When you talk about figures, are very, very careful in actually answering, because it is not something that, we just come it on top of our head. We have to do what you call maybe analysis. Then we are able to, come out with a particular figure. I share a presentation, a justification, and the honorable minister can bear with me that at any time that he requests for justification for price increase, we are able to produce. They are able to produce what you call justification to that. Once again, I just want to say that the reaction of the minister, I've heard it, that of course, trying to attack, trying to say that he's disappointed, these words, I don't expect from him. I cannot clearly also mention it. I don't really. Now let's face the facts and do not hate, things which are not necessary. It is disappointed. The issue is that this establishment of LI, much as all we agree that a day should come when cement prices should be stabilized. But that should refer you. This issue we've not even talked about last year. Okay. Why we didn't talk about it last year?
Very well.
Why didn't talk about 2 years ago? Why didn't talk about it 7 months ago?
Quickly before we end, which one is the biggest problem for you manufacturers? Is it the exchange rate? Is it taxes at the port? Is it labor? Is it utility tariffs? Which one is the biggest of the elements that is causing the increase we are seeing?
God, what right now it is like what he said. The projection cost should be taken holistically. There are several actually factors.
Yes, so
I'm landing.
Yes,
so what is prevailing now, which has brought about this LI, establishment of the LI, and which has brought more or less a feud between myself and the minister, is the exchange rate.
Very well. Thank you so much for speaking to us. We'll come back to you again in due course.
Thank you so much.
That's Dr. George Dawson Amwa. He is president of the Association of Cement Manufacturers.